Hey everybody, World's Biggest Geek here. My name is Kevin, back another video here today. And I just finished the 8-episode arc of the new edition of the MCU Marvel Television Marvel Spotlight known as Wonder Man. And guys, I have to say it was the most incredible show. It was emotional, it was funny, it was cool, it was crazy, it was wild. To honor the great legacy of Wonder Man was just truly like the most best thing of all time. I'm like, this truly was one of the best shows. And I was just like, yeah, I really enjoyed this show. I loved it a lot. It was cool. It was crazy. And like I said, it had so many great things in this show. I was like, yeah, I'm really excited to hopefully this character gets explored a lot more into the MCU, and we'll see a lot more of his connection to the Avengers, because he is a part of the West Coast Avengers in California. So hopefully, like I said, very soon Wonder Man will be a part of the whole MCU. Hopefully he'll be in Secret Wars somewhere down the line. I would love to see Wonder Man jump into the MCU movies and just connect to all the other characters in this world, and just be full of the entire connection of all the heroes to be reassembled together. So further ado, let's get into it. So the show features Simon Williams, who is a new coming actor. He always wanted to find the way to bring the character to life, to bring a betrayal. A famous actress known as Ashley, who was in the Twilight series, made an appearance in the show. And, so Simon, for years, he just wanted to be this great actor. He was trying to be a legend. He was trying to be recognized by the world. But then the showrunner kind of didn't like the idea he was going with. So they let Simon go. And, he was always trying to find his rhythm, his route, knowing that what he wanted to do for his life, his career, to, fit into Hollywood. And then eventually, he meets a awesome friend known as Trevor Slattery, who we all know him, who played the Mandarin in Iron Man 3 and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So I like the chemistry between Trevor and Simon. I like how they bond with each other. He's like, hey man, I loved your betrayal as the Mandarin, but also I loved you, and I also liked you in this show in the '80s. He's like, oh really? He's like, no one really remembers that show. I was like, how was I? He's like, you were great, man. And they were watching. They went to the movies, and then all of a sudden he's like, hey, I heard you were on the phone. What's going on? He's like, oh, they're remaking Wonder Man. So Simon's like, he loved this movie since he was a kid. His father, before his father passed away, his father took him to the movies to see Wonder Man. And, his father's like, yeah, the special effects were cheesy in the 80s and 70s. But it was really cool. And of course, Wonder Man did have the green suit in early comics. So the movie gave him that green suit that he wore, which I thought that was kind of cool. So, Simon's like, whoa, he talks to his agent, and it's like, well, you didn't like Blood, Mr. American Horror Story. And so, he's like, I got to be in this movie. I love this movie since I was a kid. I need to, be a part of this. And, so Simon was just, trying his best. So he had to pretend to be his agent. He's like, oh, I know this perfect actor. His name's Simon. And, he'd be really good for it. And of course, now the person, when he came into the place for the audition, he's like, please sign this to verify you have no superpowers. So of course, now in the first episode, his eyes were going purple because of his energy that he has in his body. So Simon had these breathing techniques. And then of course, Trevor was there. And then, one of the women was like, where have I seen him before? It's like, they said, I think he used to be a terrorist. So, and that's how Trevor and Simon were bonding. He helped him, but then you realize that Trevor Slattery was undercover for the damage control agents. It's like, how's the salad? How's the food? Oh, it's good. He's like, we told you to keep a close eye on Simon. So now you know that, oh, so Simon was a part of this, undercover job for Department of Damage Control. And now, he's like, he has to pretend to be Simon's friend. And of course, Simon did have an accident at his apartment. He unleashed power and boom, the wall exploded. So, all this energy that was inside of his body was like, he couldn't contain it. So he was very frightened, he's like, I don't want anyone knowing about my secret. I don't want anyone knowing I have powers. Now, Trevor did get in a little situation with these gang guys. And I just say Simon has some awesome fighting techniques. He threw them. The water, started leaving like little residues, like the when the water hits the puddles like that spread. So I was like, oh my gosh. And, just seeing Simon throwing people on the walls, I was like, wow. And of course, they were being blackmailed by a young kid who's like, look, I need you to do something for me. I'll delete the footage. So they meet this other kid, and they're more excited. Like, oh, it's the Mandarin. Like we're making candy, blah blah blah. And then of course the people that got Trevor came to this kid's house, and he had to delete the footage. And then the kid's like, hey, I'm sorry. No one shoots here. Oh, we're sorry. I'm sorry. Because the neighbor called, say they were drug dealers. So, and then, Simon, who's like, man, it's your fault. I didn't get rest. I didn't get sleep. And of course, and then eventually his agent called him, and Simon finally got the part as Wonder Man. And like I said, I think the life about Hollywood's, it's about always hard work, dedication, learning, and, always feeling the art of acting and, the discipline of it. So he eventually got the part of Wonder Man. It's like, it's been my dream. Now, Simon's got this big life and this, knowing that he's about to enter the world of acting, being in a big blockbuster movie. So now that Simon is a part of this, he's happy. Then we get introduced to a character called Doorman, who I guess has like dimensional power. So the owner of the club was, hey, do you mind taking out the trash? And right beside him was a garbage bin that said Raxon, which we know Raxon is known for chemicals, but of course, they do oil, gas, and experiments. So he touched this ooze and he hugged his dog, but his dog went through him and went down to the neighbor's house. And then the club was on fire. So he told people, come in me. People go, oh, that's gross. And legendary actor Josh Gad made an appearance in this show, which he was outstanding performance. He did a great job. And just seeing Josh Gad in this show, I was like, wow, what a great actor. He became friends with Doorman. And he's like, yo, you can come work for me. It's like, nah, I like working at the club. It's like, I'll pay you this amount of much. It's like, okay, cool. Then he did his first feature film, and he wore the iconic mask. He did like this Cash movie with Josh Gad. He's like, ding dong. And then, he started reading comments like, oh, yo, you got to stop with this ding dong nonsense. Oh, it's a stupid catch. And, and then Doorman, his fame was getting too high. He was drinking. It took him down too much. And then, of course, he was struggling. He had bills to pay. People, saying when you're in the industry, you always use your money wise and smart. And then, of course, Doorman did another project with Josh Gad. But eventually, because he was drinking, he threw bags and they went through. And as soon as he went through, Josh Gad was gone. So people are like, oh, where'd he go? Because I guess Doorman has like powers of dimension. So Josh Gad could be anywhere. We don't know. But overall, like I said, Doorman has the power. And then that's when Simon realized that Department of Damage Control was like, yes, any individuals or enhanced or metahumans or superhumans or mutants, whatever, who had powers cannot work in the industry. So they were investigating this case. And of course, we are introduced to his brother, Eric, who is known as the Grim Reaper. So the Grim Reaper was in the show, but he wasn't like, the antagonist, because it was more about Simon and how he got his way. And then Trevor, so now, Simon got the part as the big movie. He's happy, he said he loved this movie as a kid. He always admired it. It was something that he dreamed of, and now he's in the big leagues. And actor legendary Joe Pantiola, who actually has been in a Marvel project. He was Ben Urich and Ben Affleck's Daredevil, so it was cool to see Joe in the show as well too. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. And then so you saw a few celebrities in the show, which I thought was really cool. The studio, and then of course, Trevor admits that he was working undercover, and then Simon unleashed and destroyed the Hollywood studio. And then of course, Damage Control was there, and they said that, please call your local authorities if anyone has any information about this. And then of course, Trevor did the most craziest thing. He brought back his Mandarin days, and he said he was the one responsible. And, Simon was like, yo, he was my friend. And, he did it because he was scared. And now, Trevor is facing the time in Damage Control's prison, because Damage Control was like, we don't have any we don't have any, beings here. Like, they did have the Abomination, but the Abomination went with Wong to Kamatage. So, so like I said, Damage Control is just like losing their ways of arresting people, but I guess they can't keep them. And then eventually Simon got to make his debut as one of the greatest Hollywood actors. Had everything. He was happy. His mom, his brother was there. They said they wish his dad was there to support him. But like I said, overall, it was incredible. And director Kovic, who had his big mansion, had a lot of references of the MCU characters. He's like, we live in a world of superheroes. That's why I'm coming out of retirement to bring this back. And I have to say, the suit was iconic. The glasses was dope. I was like, yo, Wonder Man has to be back in the next future film. I want to see Wonder Man. I said, he's the most awesomest character, and I want to see a lot more of this development. And the director who was responsible for this show was the same director who did Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And he's doing Spider-Man Brand New Day, which I cannot wait for, July 31st of this summer. It's going to be the best movie of all time. But guys, this show was outstanding. It was mind-blowing. And of course, Simon breaks Trevor out of jail because, again, they had this great friendship for many years. So, he was trying to be undercover to work with this guy. He's like, well, now you can see why my job's so stressful and yelling. And Simon donated to this guy's family to help for their health insurance and their care. But overall, guys, it was an incredible show. I loved it. I digged it. I think, like I said, hopefully we get to see a lot more of this character in the future. Marvel did a great job. 8 episodes, all streaming on Disney+. Hope you guys get to check it out. I enjoyed it. Well, that does it today, everyone. Hope you guys have an awesome, safe day. I'll talk to you later. Be awesome, be geeky, and just keep on continuing the things you love, guys, because you're truly the greatest people of all time in this world. Bye, everyone.